Hi everyone and welcome back to another video. First of all, I'd like to just say a massive thank you to everyone that subscribed to the channel over the last couple of weeks. I set myself a silly little target a few weeks ago of trying to get to about 50 subscribers by the end of the year, and at the moment I'm sitting around 48, so I'm nearly there. So I just wanted to say a massive thank you to everyone that subscribed recently. For those of you that don't know me, my name's Josh. I predominantly shoot landscape and nature photography here in the Chiltern Hills, and I make these YouTube videos of some of the photo shoots and some of the hikes that I go on. So if that's the kind of thing that you're into, if you're into nature and wildlife and landscape photography, then please consider subscribing to the channel. It'd be much appreciated. So this video I'm going to try and keep very short and sweet because there's quite a lot to get through. So I will be sort of semi-rushing through some of the stuff that I'm talking about, but I just wanted to take a look at some of the best photos that I've got in 2023 here at the end of the year, and tell you a couple of the things that I've learned, a couple of things that have changed throughout the years, and show you through some of the photography trips that I've been on over 2023. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. Whoop! So it's actually a little bit of a boring start to 2023, to be honest with you. At the beginning, January wasn't doing much, to be honest with you. We had a little bit of snow in December 2022, so I got some quite nice snowy woodland shots then, but January was a little bit of a quiet month. There wasn't much of a great conditions, and to be honest, it was mainly just sort of local woodland stuff for me. But then in February I went on an amazing trip to the Peak District National Park with my fiance Frankie, and got some amazing shots there, so that was a really great trip actually. We went on a really good hike. I think it was the Edale Valley. I think that was the kind of area that we were in. This was one of the last trips that I took my Sony a7R III and the bigger lenses and stuff with me. So I was shooting mainly on this hike with the 100 to 400mm G Master, and I really enjoyed kind of shooting some of the abstract landscapes, some of the sort of pockets of light that were moving across the scene, and got some really great telephoto shots. These ones were, there's basically this old dilapidated road that I think they do a lot of filming on. Whenever it's kind of a zombie apocalypse scene, I think there's quite a few films that have been filmed here, so that was quite cool. We also went up to Bamford Edge for some golden hour photography and just to watch the sunset, so got some amazing shots there, some really gorgeous light that evening. So yeah, that was really good. Thor's Cave, I don't know if anyone's ever been there before. It's quite a popular sort of Instagram photography spot. It was okay. It was just kind of very bland conditions while we were there. So got a couple of shots from within the cave looking out with the kind of entrance to the cave there. But yeah, nothing to write home about. So as we move on into March, I went to a place called Knepp, which is a rewilding estate down in West Sussex, I believe. Not the most amazing shots in the world, to be honest with you, but if you go there at the right time of year, there's just so much wildlife there. They're really trying, and they're doing some amazing things to encourage wildlife to come back when it hasn't been there for a while, and they're introducing a few things as well. I think they've got beavers somewhere there, but if you just sort of think of it as a mini sort of safari, a walking safari, I think you can do some sort of guided ones as well where you go around on a vehicle, but there's just some amazing shots to get if you're into wildlife photography. They've got storks there, so got some shots of the storks flying to their nest and building their nest, that kind of thing. They've got fallow deer, so they've got some domesticated livestock. They've got longhorned cattle, I think it's Tamworth pigs, and they basically do the job that in ancient times the aurochs and the wild boar would have been doing in that kind of area. So yeah, they're doing some amazing things there, and there's some really good shots to get, so I highly recommend that actually. Maybe I didn't go at the right time of year because it was a little bit grey and drab, but I did get this one shot that I really liked actually. I stood up on a kind of a platform, like a treehouse sort of thing, and looked out again with this was with the 100 to 400 on the Sony a6400, and got a really nice zoomed in shot of a wintry old ancient oak tree. So yeah, really happy with that one. Again in March we went down to a little kind of cabin type thing. It was quite a lovely little place actually, down in Dorset, kind of on the Dorset-Wiltshire border. So yeah, while we were there, got some really nice telephoto shots, again with the A7R3 and 100 to 400. So got some amazing telephoto shots of the hazel in bloom. These kind of hillsides were just covered in the stuff, and it was just made for really lovely soft telephoto minimalist photography. So yeah, got some really nice stuff there. April was great. We went to Amsterdam and some other places in the Netherlands, which was really fun. It was just sort of coming into peak tulip season, so there were bulbs everywhere, lots of colour, lots of nice little splashes of colour added to some of the kind of generic cityscape shots that I got. Spent quite a while one evening waiting for blue hour to come for this photograph, just to try and get most of the lights to come on in the houses and on the street lights and that kind of thing. But ultimately we waited for a really long time and not all of them came on. So pretty happy with the shot. Could have been better, but you know, I wasn't about to go up to each apartment and turn all the lights on. So yeah, got some great shots there. Then we also went down to the Keukenhof Gardens, which is where it's kind of like a really touristy theme park full of tulip bulbs and all sorts of bulbs, to be honest. We didn't actually go into the gardens, but we hired some bikes and basically cycled all around the countryside there. So it's completely flat, there's not a hill in sight, and you can just go around. You see all the tulip flowers. What else was there? There was daffodils, hyacinths. Yeah, it was just really quite colourful, basically. Yeah, so got some telephoto stuff, some wide angle stuff. Yeah, basically you need to take all of your lenses. This trip to Holland was the first time that I sort of trusted in the A6400 and the kind of basic starter lenses. And yeah, was pretty happy with the shots I got, but ultimately I didn't like changing lenses between the 16 to 50, I think it is, and the 55 to 210. So after this trip was when I really realized that I wanted an all-in-one zoom, and I ended up with a Tamron 18 to 300 millimeters. And yeah, if you're interested in that lens, I've got a video. I'll pop a little link down below. This was the highlight of the day. It was a couple of hares just darting around in these hyacinths. It was just wonderful. I'm actually quite bad. I can't confess to be a really good wildlife spotter, but Frankie, my fiance, is amazing. So she spotted these hares. Obviously I had the telephoto lens, so I got these amazing shots of the hares kind of playing around, and at sometimes it sort of looks like they're smelling the flowers as well, which is always quite nice to humanize these animals in some of these shots. So yeah, great one of the hare kind of jumping over the hyacinths there, and the smell of the hyacinths was incredible as well. The tulips don't really smell of anything, but the hyacinths have a really powerful fragrance to them. Then at the end of the day, kind of got the drone up before we had to get back, and got some amazing shots of some of the wider landscape, and just how vast it is, how big these tulip fields are, basically. So then as we moved from April into May, it was just more sort of local photography. I got some nice ones of this flooded oak woodland, which turned out quite nice actually. It's quite rare that you see, well, where I live in Buckinghamshire anyway, where you see trees growing straight out of the water. So yeah, that was quite cool. So then we moved into bluebell season, and this year I didn't really get anything to write home about in terms of bluebell shots. Last year was a much better year in terms of bluebells for me. But yeah, I just went on this little walk and got a few shots here. And then it was kind of straight from bluebells into wild garlic for me. So ended up getting this quite nice shot of some wild garlic in a woodland that I was quite happy with in the end. So this evening, towards the end of May, we went to this local hill called White Leaf Hill, which is a really great example of chalk grassland. There's some really lovely wildflowers. They've got things like orchids there. And basically we just had a really great evening watching the deer, and there was roe deer and muntjac, which were just browsing on all of the vegetation there. So yeah, basically we just watched the sunsets and watched the deer, which was lovely. At the end of May, we went on the Ashridge Boundary Trail, which is, in my opinion, the best hike in the Chilterns. So if anyone is local to the Chilterns and wants the best hike, it's 18 miles, so it's quite long, but I highly recommend it. There are shorter ones that you can go on where you kind of cut it in half and stuff, but I highly recommend, if you can, going on the long one. It's really nice and varied, and if you go in May, you're highly likely to see the best display of wild garlic that I've ever seen. So yeah, that's a little tip from me. Then as we went into June, got some quite nice shots of some reptiles. So May, June is sort of the best time to see reptiles. That's when they're most active. So yeah, got some shots of adders, slow worms. Didn't get a lizard in the end, but yeah, did get some really nice shots. At the beginning of June, we went to Suffolk. Didn't get any great seascape shots or anything like that, but I did manage to get some lovely drone stuff. This was one of the first times shooting with the Mini 3 Pro, the DJI Mini 3 Pro. Then we had a really lovely evening, got some, I think this is either wheat or barley, but got some lovely sort of semi-abstract shots of the evening light on this barley. And then to round it all off, we saw these deer, I think they're fallow deer, as we went home. There were just these deer there, so yeah, they were enjoying an evening browse in this field, and it was just quite nice because there's all these wildflowers around them. So yeah, I was really happy with that shot. So then at the end of June, we went to Kefalonia in Greece. It was one of the best trips I've been on for years, and got some amazing wildlife shots, landscape shots, you name it, I got it basically. Things like turtles, geckos, there was a barn owl in there, jellyfish, gecko, did I say geckos already? Other invertebrates, spiders. Yeah, lose track of everything that I got, but yeah, that was a really sort of wildlife centric trip actually in the end, so that was great. We got some lovely drone stuff of some of the hillsides and mountains and some of the sea as well. Some sort of abstract ones of the colours in the sea were great. Some of the amazing olive trees. I mean, I've never seen so many ancient olive trees before. It was incredible actually. If you're into ancient tree photography, it's definitely a really good place to go. Sometimes it could be quite hard. I mean, this tree, for example, that's the thickest stemmed tree that I've ever seen. I mean, it was probably about 15 feet across, something like that. I don't even know, it might have been two trees that have grown into one over time, but yeah, I had a lens that went out to, well, it was 10 millimeters on a crop sensor camera, so that's basically 16 millimeters I believe or 15 millimeters, and it just wasn't wide enough basically. So yeah, that was a real struggle, but I did get some great ones of another olive grove. These ones I was really proud of and really happy with in the end. Yeah, they weren't as impressive tree wise, but the light was better and the compositions I'm really happy with the compositions basically. So July was actually a really quiet month photographically for me. Didn't do any, I don't think I took a single photo, well, on my camera anyway, probably took some phone stuff, but yeah, don't know what happened in July, but must have been quite busy. And then August was quite packed actually. Earlier on in the year I'd read a book called The Lost Rainforests of Britain by Guy Shrubsole. But basically it just goes into detail of the kind of landscape that used to be in Britain and the sort of remnant rainforests. And you wouldn't think that we have rainforests in Britain, but we do. They're not the kind of tropical lush ones that you might think of, but they're these temperate rainforests. So they've got the same sort of trees that we have, but there's a lot of plants that basically can survive without touching the ground. So you get these polypody ferns. Yeah, I'll probably do a video next time I go back to one of these rainforests, because basically I became a little bit obsessed. But yeah, that was an amazing trip and my first taste of temperate rainforests, and in Dorset as well, when that's basically as far to the east of Britain as they come, in the south of Britain anyway. So yeah, that was an amazing trip. In September we went over to the West Country. We went to Bristol and went to Cheddar Gorge. I've been to Cheddar Gorge as a kid, but yeah, it's been a long time since I've been there. So I got these shots of some of the kind of caves and some of the cliffs that they've got there. That was really cool. We went to another couple of temperate rainforests where wasn't as good as that first one in Dorset, but yeah, there was still some great examples of epiphytic plants growing on other plants, which was really cool. Then October was when I really got into my fungi photography. So I've got some great fungi photos throughout the years, but this year I probably got as many as I have in all of the previous years that I've been doing photography. So yeah, went slightly fungi crazy in October. Also at the end of October, I spent an evening lying down in a pile of logs and brush, basically, photographing these 2 foxes that kept coming back. So I'd been told that there was a couple of young foxes that were periodically coming to this sort of area. So yeah, basically I got there nice and early and spent the evening doing some wildlife photography of these foxes, which was great. And yeah, got some really lovely photos that I was really happy with in the end. So after that, the colours really started to change and the temperature changed, the clocks changed. Basically it was just getting cooler and the days were getting shorter, and it was really starting to feel like autumn at that point. So autumn is my favourite time of the year, actually. You can't beat it. I love the colours, I love all the tones that you get in the trees. It's so interesting photographically, there's so much to shoot. The one thing I don't like is how cold it gets and how you have to start layering up for photo shoots rather than shooting in a shorts and t-shirt, but yeah, the colours definitely make up for it. Then in November we went on a little trip away. We stayed in a lovely little cottage in the middle of the woods in Herefordshire, which was great. It was a beautiful place kind of tucked away in the middle of nowhere, and really had a really great secluded feel. So this one ended up being one of my favourite autumn colour shots in the end. And I just love how the stems look so dark and you can tell there's some really lovely backlight there. So by December it was really starting to get quite wintry. All the leaves had dropped off the trees and there wasn't really as much to photograph anymore, in my opinion, in terms of colour and kind of seasonal interest. December ends up being sort of one of those bridge months here in the south of England where we don't get the kind of snowy conditions very often, and yeah, you've sort of lost all those autumn colours, but you haven't quite got the very wintry conditions yet. So hasn't been a busy month photographically, but have been shooting some of these photos and filming for YouTube. So if you haven't watched them yet, I'll pop a little link or something up here for you guys to go and watch that after this. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's my year in photography. It's been quite a packed year, actually. I've really got into my nature photography and wildlife, especially that trip to Kefalonia. That really just cemented how much I love shooting wildlife and looking for wildlife as well. That was a really great trip, and I highly recommend Kefalonia for any photographers if you're looking for somewhere to go in Greece especially. So yeah, the last thing to do, I just want to show you guys my calendar that I've done for this year. Again, it's not something that I'm making publicly available or anything like that, but just wanted to show you just because I'm really quite happy with them. So yeah, here we go. Whoop. So yeah, here is my landscape photography calendar, or landscape and nature should I say. Yeah, like I said, I'm really quite pleased with it. You can see got the logo there, QR code where you can get to all of my useful links, YouTube, Instagram, website, that kind of thing. Yeah, this is a font that I've really been loving using, by the way, at the moment. I think it's called Brookshire Etco or something like that. This is one of the shots of the fox that I got back in when was that, September or something like that. So yeah, January, that shot is that was actually taken in December 2022, to be honest with you, but yeah, that really shows some of the great coppiced oak trees forming those really gnarled shapes there. That's in Burnham Beeches in Buckinghamshire. This one was that was Iceland in 2022. That was a really lovely experience to see the wild horses with the amazing backdrop of the mountains there covered in snow, and there was a load of them. I mean, we saw quite a few on our trip, but yeah, that was just great to see quite a few bunched up together with the amazing backdrop and the amazing sort of sunset light there in the background. That was one of the shots from the Peak District in 2023. So yeah, lovely little farmhouse, and if you look right there, bring it a bit closer, you can see the farmer there as well. So yeah, I love that shot. That's one of the tulip fields. These are actually hyacinths, and that's in Holland there, and that's one of the hares that was kind of darting around and kind of looking as if it's smelling the flowers there. That was a great experience. So that one was from Kefalonia. That's of a jellyfish. This jellyfish is actually bioluminescent at night, which is quite cool. Pelagia noctiluca. But yeah, that was a lovely shot. That's quite a young one. They do get quite big, but that one was only kind of the size of, I don't know, a memory card, say, something like that. Again, Kefalonia, that's one of the olive groves with the ancient olive trees there. That was a really lovely evening shooting, and we befriended a dog that evening as well. Yeah, that was a great shoot. That's one from Dorset, and you can really see the lovely polypody ferns growing all over these tree branches here. These are actually dead, but regardless whether the branch is dead or alive, these polypody ferns were covering loads of the oak trees in this woodland. That was a really great experience to see that. So yeah, this is obviously the front cover. Lovely shot. That was my favourite shot from that shoot, with the beautiful blue hour light and these young foxes kind of scavenging around for scraps. That was great. That one is from Tuscany in 2021, I think. So is that 2020? No, 2022 that was. That's one of the best sunsets I've ever seen. I really struggled with my camera that evening getting it to focus, but in the end the shot came out really, really great. So yeah, I'm really happy with that. October, that's a lovely little coral fungus in some beach leaf litter. Yeah, that's one of my favourite fungi shots from this year, 2023. Then that shot is one of my favourite autumn shots from the past few years, actually. That's one of my favourite trees of all time. That's in Black Park in Buckinghamshire, and yeah, that amazing beech tree, and I caught it just at the kind of peak colour as well. So I just love how far it spreads out, and the contrast between the shape of that and the straight pine stems, I think, really comes across in the photo. And then December, that's a shot from the Amalfi Coast. Not a winter shot at all, but I just love the way it looks quite festive and Christmassy for December, and it really just looks quite nice and festive there with all the lights lit up. One of the main things with this calendar is the size of the boxes. I really wanted it to be a usable calendar. One that I've made a few years ago, it wasn't really a usable calendar. The photos look great, but the actual boxes were too small. So this time, you know, you can actually write things on each day and use the calendar properly. The one thing with it, this was from Vistaprint, I ordered it, and basically I would have really liked on the back if you could do the months of what each month is on the back there. That would have been a lot better than just this standard image of the front cover, basically. So it's a shame they don't let you do that. It's not an option on the website. The other thing is the calendars, I don't know if you can see, but they did get a little bit battered up in transit. So there's just on one edge there, all of the calendars had a bit of damage there, and then not this one, but one of the other ones had quite a battered up corner as well. But other than that, I'm really happy with them. I thought they turned out great, and yeah, just wanted to show you guys how they looked. Let me know what you guys think, and leave a comment down below. Be interested to hear. So I hope you guys enjoyed looking through my best shots of 2023. I thought it was a really great year for me photographically, and it was also a really interesting year. I went to some interesting places, got some really cool shots that I'm very proud of, and also I changed gear quite a few times. So I was shooting with 3 different cameras at one point, and finally I've got a setup that I'm really happy with the A6700. That video of my review will be coming soon, by the way, so stay tuned to the channel for that. And if you're into landscape and nature photography, then please consider subscribing to the channel. I've got some amazing trips planned for 2024, and I'd love to bring you guys along. So yeah, that's about it for me for today, and have a great new year. Bye. Whoop.